I'm here today to begin a series of podcasts on books that I've authored, and I'd like to begin with a bit of an introduction of myself. Hi, my name is Doug Collins. I'm a career participant in cybersecurity, having spent 35 years either auditing it or consulting it in it, which I'm presently doing. Now, here's the thing. I've determined that cybersecurity has a big problem that is so broad that I've had to write books describing it. These books are written in the structure of a huge audit finding dedicated in particular to company CEOs who must live with the high costs of the outcomes of this audit finding daily. I was not commissioned for this by anyone, I just delivered it. For your information, audit findings are presented in phases. Phase 1, the issues, which are real. Phase 2, the impacts, which are hypothesized. And Phase 3, the recommendations, which are obviously to be developed. I've written books covering each of these phases of the maiden cybersecurity finding. Here is the structure of my books as a roadmap for future reference. Firstly, my book, The New Architecture, describes the issues. Second, the fictional, although realistic impacts are addressed in my series of books, Quantum Worlds. Finally, the recommendations unfold in my upcoming book, Cybersecurity's Best Defense, due out June 2026, addressing past vulnerability causes, present AI dangers, as far-reaching as quantum computing exposure. This chapter of podcasts addresses the lead book of my series, Quantum Worlds, noted as my audit findings' most catastrophic impact. So without further ado, now to my book, Decryption Gambit. Sorry, I forgot. Just one more thing of note. Firstly, all of my books are available at my website, dougcollinsauthor.com, or at your favorite global online book outlet. Now back to the subject at hand, Decryption Gambit. The mineral that could end privacy as we know it. What if a single rock discovered in a remote, mist-covered mountain range in China by one quiet scientist working alone could make every password, every bank account, every government secret on Earth completely visible to whoever held it? Not by hacking, not by brute force, but by breaking the fundamental mathematics that all digital security is built on. That's the question at the heart of Doug Collins' techno-thriller, Decryption Gambit, the mineral of silence. And the terrifying part, it isn't as far-fetched at all. It isn't far-fetched at all. Let's set the scene. We're in a remote laboratory nestled deep in the mountains of Sichuan Province, China. The building itself is half brutalized concrete, half traditional, bare walls lined with modular instrument benches, hand-painted calligraphy scrolls hanging behind precision equipment. The smell of solder and ozone in the air. Dilution fridges humming, keeping components near absolute zero. Lasers calibrated to extraordinary precision. And one man at the center of it all, Li Wen, a physicist who has spent his career studying quantum materials. Li Wen is not a dynamic figure. He's quiet, methodical, driven by pure scientific curiosity. Collins describes him hunched over, flickering screens, his unyielding curiosity roaming freely in this remote sanctuary. And on the night we meet him, that curiosity is about to collide with something that will change the world. He opens a sealed container. Inside is a mineral sample he retrieved from a geological expedition in the Henquin Mountains, an area with unusual deposits that nobody has quite characterized before. The mineral surface glimmers under the lab lights. Intricate crystalline structures, incandescent veins, nothing remarkable to the naked eye. He starts his initial characterization. X-ray diffraction to map the crystal lattice. Electron microscopy, spectroscopic analysis. And within hours, the readings don't match anything in literature. The data is extraordinary. The mineral is demonstrating what Collins describes as an extraordinary capacity for quantum state stabilization, preserving what are called quantum coherence times far beyond anything known to science. Now let me explain why that matters, because this is where the book becomes genuinely alarming. All of our digital security, every time you log into your bank, send a message across the government system, process a financial transaction, it relies on a foundational assumption that computers can solve them in a practical time frame. It relies on a foundational assumption. That assumption is that certain mathematical problems are so computationally hard that no computer can solve them in a practical time frame. The hardest of these problems is the basis of encryption, factoring very large numbers into their prime components. Quantum computers threaten to shatter this assumption because they can process information in fundamentally different ways than classical computers. But there's a catch, and this catch has kept quantum computing largely theoretical for decades. Quantum bits, called qubits, are extraordinarily fragile. They exist in what's called superposition, multiple states simultaneously. But the slightest environmental interference collapses the state. Vibration, temperature, electromagnetic noise. Even observing them wrong. This is called decoherence, and it destroys quantum information in milliseconds. The entire global race in quantum computing is essentially a race to solve this problem. How to make qubits stable enough to be useful. Silentium, the name Li Wen gives his mineral, appears to solve it, naturally, without elaborate cooling systems or isolation chambers. Its unique crystal lattice creates what Li Wen describes as a natural quantum shield, suppressing the environmental noise that would normally collapse quantum states. His coherence measurements are orders of magnitude better than any known material. He replicates the experiments. He brings in colleagues for parallel testing with spin echo and dynamic decoupling techniques. The results hold. And in that quiet lab, looking at this data, Li Wen understands with perfect clarity what he is holding. If Silentium can be incorporated into quantum processors, it doesn't just improve them, it removes the primary obstacle to building a quantum computer capable of cracking modern encryption. Every bank account, every diplomatic cable, every military secret, every private communication, all of it readable. Collins writes this moment with real psychological depth. There is exhilaration. This is the culmination of Li Wen's life's work, but beneath it, immediately and intensely, is dread. Because Li Wen also understands that scientific discoveries do not stay in laboratories. They move through channels of power. And once this leaves his hands, he cannot control what happens next. The book captures something profound about this moment, the loneliness of the scientist at the threshold of civilization-altering discovery. Li Wen works late into the night, staring through the window at mountain peaks, contemplating how something physically so small and silent could resonate so profoundly across the delicate balance of technology and power. He names it Silentium, from the Latin for silence, because its defining quality is that it silences the quantum noise that has always made the technology unstable. But the silence it creates could extend to something far more dangerous, the silencing of every secret in the digital world. He begins drafting his report to Beijing's scientific community, and here is where Collins shows us Li Wen's character. He writes the report honestly. He describes the mineral's properties with full scientific rigor, but he also writes warnings, urgent, careful warnings about the potential for weaponization. He recommends multilateral transparency measures, interdisciplinary oversight bodies, international cooperation. He encodes what Collins describes as subtle warnings and speculative insights into the margins. He knows these recommendations may be ignored. He knows that once this document enters the bureaucratic machinery of the Chinese state, it will be read by people with very different priorities than his own. But he believes he has to believe that the fact of writing the warnings matters, that honesty, even in the face of probable futility, is still the right thing to do. The first chapter sets up everything the book is going to grapple with: the collision between scientific discovery and political power, between the promise of breakthrough and its potential for catastrophe, between individual conscience and institutional machinery. The first chapter sets up everything the book is going to grapple with: the collision between scientific discovery and political power, between the promise of a breakthrough and its potential for catastrophe, between individual conscience and institutional machinery. And it does so through one of the most compelling opening sequences I've encountered in recent thriller fiction. You are in that lab, you can smell the ozone, you can feel the weight of what Li Wen has found. If this kind of deep, intelligent storytelling, where science is real, the stakes are genuinely civilizational, and the human drama is just as gripping as the technology, is what you're looking for, then Decryption Gambit, The Mineral of Silence by Doug Collins is absolutely the book for you. It's available right now on Amazon as both an ebook and in print, and the link is directly in our show notes. Chapter 1 will hook you, I promise. Go get it today.